fast.
It's funny because I remember
Go ahead.
I remember growing up, and or not growing up, but like the keyboarding class I took in high school was the smartest fucking class I've ever taken in my life. It has helped me out so much. And I remember before that, like I was typing like 5 words a minute or some bullshit like that. And then when I finished that class, it was like 30 words a minute. And then you go on with life and you just like learn and stuff. And you continue to do whatever. And then I recently, earlier this year, last year, took like another typing random test just to see. I typed like 110 words a minute.
Nice.
That's
I think
not
my
bad.
sister does something like 140, 150 or something ridiculous
Christ.
fucking shit. She's stupid fast.
Jesus, how do you do that? Like I don't
It's
even
high.
know.
I don't know. It's
'Cause
high.
my fingers move fast. Like I'm not saying like it's physically impossible, but it's like I can't even imagine them moving consistently that fast.
I don't know. I know it's. I want to say it's like 130, 140, maybe not 150, maybe 130, 140, but it's stupid fucking fast. But I can't type very fast whatsoever. It actually scare you guys that I get what I get done.
What do you have to do? You like finger peck?
I don't hunt and peck. No, but I'm not as skilled at using all of my fingers. So there's about 5 fingers total that are used.
Okay. Yeah, I know I had a boss back in the day. He was just like this. He wouldn't finger pick, but he used like, I think 4 fingers. Like he uses his pointer finger and his middle finger when typing. And I look at him, I'm like, come on, dude. Come on. You're running a multi-billion-dollar company here. What are you doing? You're finger pecking.
Definitely. My dad's a history teacher and he does the hunt and peck. He still can't memorize the keyboard. So, Good morning, everybody, and welcome to LR Mornings with Kyle and Jammer. I'm Kyle.
I'm Jammer.
And we were talking about typing because, that just happened to be the subject for the morning. But that's definitely not what we're going to be talking about for the rest of the time.
No, you want to hear about us typing? Come on.
Unless you guys really want it. Yeah, I mean, come on. Typing is such an important skill. On a side note, something funny, I cannot read or write cursive.
Okay. You can't read it? It's like a different language to you?
Can't read most of it. Like I could sign my name and a few things I can make out, but starting at about 2nd grade, the schools that I went to started doing everything on computers and started typing classes and stuff like that, and I just lost it. We never did any handwritten things anymore. So I didn't keep up with it. Shit happens.
I thought we weren't going to talk about writing and typing the entire episode.
I know. I just wanted to mention that one because I thought it was funny and self-deprecating.
That is pretty funny.
I tell you what I do want to talk about.
What do you want to talk about?
Just a little bit at least. I want to talk about what the fuck is Zack Snyder doing?
Oh.
And this faucet drip Snyder Cut that's coming out.
The thing is, I kind of love this. And the reason I love this is because everyone shat all over Batman v Superman. Everyone was doing it except for me. I was the one out there giving that thing. I think I give it like a B+ or something. I was like, this movie is like, it's I understand why some people don't like it, but I think it's kind of like it's a very ambitious story. It's doing a lot of interesting thing with the characters. Sure, it has its flaws. It definitely has its flaws. The scenes are really short. It feels you don't get as much character as you do get interesting ideas and story. But I thought it was really interesting take. And more than that, I was really excited to see how all of the things that he planted in Batman v Superman, you have like the nightmare sequence, the Flash random thing, and a couple other aspects sort of paying off. And Superman's journey going from some guy who was like, do people deserve to be saved? All the way to what we'd end up with in Justice League of like, yes, people do deserve to be saved. Like that whole journey, it felt like a TV show. And they were having the confidence to say, you know what? Yeah, we're going to spill $250, $300 million into this thing. And, hope people like it enough for us to continue the story and to have it pay off in, 3 or 4 movies. I was really excited for that prospect. And no one else was, apparently. And now they're all like, oh, Zack Snyder Cut. I'm like, okay, come on, guys. You guys, fuck you. That's how I felt.
I can't fucking stand it. Look, these people are all like one and the same. Not necessarily the same group, but one and the same type. You have the people that they bitched about Man of Steel, which was okay. It was a different take on the character. I feel Warner Brothers said, we made Batman darker, grittier, through a blue filtered lens. Let's do the same thing with Sorry about that. That's my idiot dog. Let's do the same thing with Superman. And they found somebody that was like, yeah, I would like to do a darker, grittier, blue filtered Superman. So
I disagree with that assessment. I disagree. I think that is a very shallow assessment of that Superman. It's not just darker and grittier. It's a more nuanced and realistic take. Like, would a guy who grew up actually feel like, yes, I need to protect humanity? Because honestly, the idea of Superman as a character never really appealed to me, and I never bought it. Like, why would this guy turn out anything other than an entitled Brosivius Jackson? Like he would just be like this. He would be so entitled and be like, oh, I'm fucking Superman. Like, I can bend steel. I could be captain of the football team. I could, go out with anyone I like. I could literally have everything at the palm of my hand. I have no incentive to be a great human being.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I get that, but I didn't care for the movie. I didn't hate the movie. It was okay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that a lot of people liked. That's what I was trying to...
I like the idea of it more than I like the execution. I think it does have plenty of flaws. But I really do like what he was doing with the character, even if the execution was blah for me.
Right. And I people hated on Zack Snyder for it. You changed our Superman, this, that, and the other. So
Hashtag not my Superman.
Yeah. So then we get to Warner Brothers' rush to Justice League because they were like, oh my God, did you see what Avengers did? We can do that too, but we can do it faster. Whatever, there's all sorts of theories about shit that happened in the background, but we get to Batman v Superman and Dawn of Justice, which the title alone,
the title was awful. It should have been Batman v Superman. There was no need for the Dawn of Justice. It was like, oh, you're not done with the title yet? It was like a fucking one of those what are they called? The dissertations or whatever with long ass titles.
So you got people bitching about that one too. And look, I saw the supposed good cut, No,
it was a great cut. It was a fucking awesome movie, that cut.
It was still not good to me. And one of the worst parts was definitely Lex Luthor and writing. And anyways, a lot of people had issues with Batman this time. They're, again, hashtag not my Batman. And I'm like, I really, they're going for this look and feel. Let them go with it. That's what they want. Whatever. But everybody, the key thing is people were hating on Snyder. Snyder doesn't get it. Snyder makes things look cool, but he doesn't know how to tell stories. Snyder doesn't get characters. Everybody hating on Zack Snyder. And then Justice League happens. Zack Snyder leaves, at least partially because of a tragedy in his family. Joss Whedon's brought on, and we get almost a what's that other movie that had really, really bad editing? Oh, Solo issue, where you get like 3 movies. You get a studio movie, you get one director movie, you get another director movie. And like you said, a lot of those things didn't pay off from BVS into Justice League because Warner Brothers was freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
And now everybody that hated on Snyder wants his cut of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the same people that were constantly bitching George Lucas ruined Star Wars, wanting him to make the sequel trilogy after seeing The Last Jedi.
I mean, here's what I will say in defense of those people, kind of in defense. They just want something that they like. And when something isn't what they like, there's this rosy-eyed perspective that the thing that we could have gotten that we didn't could have been better.
Yeah.
I think it's more about that than it is about any loyal adherence to any philosophy or perspective on a film or filmmaker.
Grass is greener on the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think we've had this conversation before elsewhere. I don't think there will ever be a full-blown Snyder Cut released.
No, I don't think so either. No.
No.
I don't think there's enough money in it.
Exists.
Like there's another thing like we say with a lot of things. It's a loud minority of people who want this, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming a loud minority, like the student, like just like there's a loud minority of people doing a lot of things, right? Like we have that a lot these days. It's impossible to tell. Sure, it may be more than I think it is, but I think it's a loud minority, but there's no way really to know. And the studio isn't going to risk spending potentially tens of millions, maybe even more than that, to pretty up a Zack Snyder, basically to take all of the raw footage, cut it together, and then, do all of the visual effects on those things again. Like basically, tens of millions to hundreds of millions of dollars on a maybe people will like it, and also maybe those people who bitch and complain will actually buy it. Like it's too much risk, not enough reward. I don't see it happening. I would love to see it personally, but I don't think it will.
What if they did, I can't remember who owns the rights to Alien for comic books, Dark Horse or IDW, but
ooh, I like where this is going.
Yeah, what if they did the same thing they did with Alien 3? They released a comic book version of an alternate Alien 3. And I don't remember if it was an original script or just an alternative script or something like that, but what if DC, because am I alone in thinking that there's probably some issues between DC Comics, the comics guys themselves, and Warner Brothers? I mean, look at how they did Jeff Johns. They brought him on just to fucking kick him off before he even really got a chance to do anything. What if they did the Snyder Cut in comic book form?
I would love that. I would read the fuck out of that. So hard. Yeah, absolutely. I'm on board with that. Like Warner Brothers, if you're listening, talk to DC, get this done. It's a low investment thing. You're not going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. You'll spend tens of thousands of dollars, if that. I don't know how much it makes to pay a comic book artist. Probably not that much even. Thousands of dollars probably. You can get that story across. You could somehow please Zack Snyder, and you could please the fans. And if it makes a big enough splash, maybe you can even, dust off that Zack Snyder cut footage you got there. Maybe they will find that it's worth it. Probably not, but it's worth a shot. Yes.
Almost do like a Donner cut of Justice League. How they used some of the Donner cut footage didn't seem like it was fully polished off or fully finished. So maybe they could do the same with Snyder's cut. Like, we're gonna give you this movie, but don't expect it to be the same shitty quality that the theatrical cut was.
So we should probably specify what you're talking about. So Zack Snyder, once again, taken to Vero. He posted a concept art, I believe, of Darkseid. And then also he posted a shot.
A young Darkseid. Everybody wanted to point that out. Young Darkseid.
And then also he posted a picture of, this is actually, I think, footage, if I recall, like actual image of Cyborg along with another version of himself with his parents. It was supposedly the context that he painted was that it was inside the mother boxes. Like, apparently they had failed at, keeping the mother boxes apart the first time, meaning that Flash had to go back in time and give him a second shot to do it. And then I guess the mother boxes were like tempting him to, I guess, not separate them. Yeah. And that was kind of like a last ditch effort type of thing. And so that was kind of the context of it. So I thought it was cool. I liked the idea that, they were going to incorporate time travel. They were going to incorporate other obstacles to it. It wasn't just going to be a straight boom, boom, boom success, what the Justice League movie actually was. And I will say, I enjoyed the Justice League movie. I liked it quite a bit. I thought it was fun. I mean, it wasn't, a good movie, but I thought it was fun. I enjoyed myself in the theaters.
Have fun with it. It was so choppy, and you could almost tell that's Snyder, that's Whedon, that's Snyder, that's WB. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
It felt really, really, really rough, and I feel bad for fans. Because fans deserve better. I mean,
they're all right. I don't feel bad.
There's always going to be the competition and the fandom between Marvel and DC, but Marvel got a lot of really great stuff. DC fans deserve to get some great stuff too, and
DC fans got the fucking Dark Knight trilogy,
but they didn't get their Justice League. Man, everybody was waiting to see.
They'll get it eventually.
Their Justice League. I hope so. And I hope it has nothing to do with building a big world and taking the time that Marvel did. They should have just went with what they were planning on and do all separate shit and just every now and then have a Justice League movie. Fuck it.
Well, they weren't originally planning that, were they?
I don't know. I think we've had this conversation before, back when they were doing Justice League Mortal. When
right. That was George Miller.
What was that? Yeah, George Miller was on Justice League Mortal, and they were still talking about having these other superhero movies that weren't going to be the same actors or actors. It's a long time. That's what, 2007, 2008? So yeah, I wonder I would like to see did you ever see The Death of Superman Lives? The documentary?
I did.
I would love to see that on Justice League Mortal, something similar on.
I would
Justice
also
League
love
Mortal.
to see that a Fantastic Four, the Fantastic Four movie, kind of a post-mortem.
Oh man,
Because
that
I met
recent
someone
one.
who worked on the recent one. That was
Oh, okay.
interesting as fuck. Like I'm not sure I said this before, maybe not to you, but I met this guy who was working on the set of that movie, and he said like day one, Josh Trank was like basically demoralized already. Like I guess he had been in constant butting heads with the studio during the whole process of development. That by the time he got there, he was just like, I'm over this. I'm done. This is whatever. I don't want this. And yeah, apparently that obviously had a huge impact on morale and the end result of the movie and blah 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 blah. So yeah,
Oh, hey,
I would like to hear more stories about that.
Yeah, my only question is, how much pushback from studios would you get on documentaries like that? Because I mean, you're gonna let a lot of dirty laundry out. Like, could we even get those types of documentaries made, or would studios throw some weight around and squash them?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe. That's a good question. Maybe. I mean, that's probably why it hasn't been done. Like, you don't want to. I mean, the thing is that it's not easy to make these expose things. You gotta throw a lot of people under the bus, and these people, like, it's easy to look at these companies as big monoliths, but they're fucking people. They're just trying to make ends meet. They're living lives. They have expenses. They have just because because you don't like Fantastic Four, it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone involved in Fantastic Four really needs to never work again in the business. So yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah, I would like to see it though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I would too.
That'd definitely be cool. And that comic book idea that I borrowed from Alien, definitely try that out.
Yes.
So what else was going on yesterday, man?
Shang-Chi seems like it's getting some traction. According to that hashtag show, we got a couple promising actors who may be attached to it, or at least who are being considered in one. I'll start with one. We have what's his name? Ludi Lin. You may not recognize his name, but he was in the Power Rangers movie. He was the Black Ranger.
Yes,
he was great in that movie. I've seen him in a couple other things, but I didn't realize. I think he was in Aquaman as well. Did not realize that. He probably, I don't know who he played. Maybe it was a young Jason Momoa, but I'm not even sure. But anyways, he was great in that movie, and he's apparently one of the people who I guess they may be meeting. Apparently he has a desire to play the role, and his background in martial arts has sort of put him on Kevin Feige's map. But there's probably going to be more names attached to it. Another name they have is Ross Butler, who you may remember. He played the... Am I allowed to spoil this? Spoiler for the end of Shazam. He played the Shazammed version of the Asian kid.
Yeah.
In that one. And so he's also expected to meet with Marvel in regards to that one. But potentially the more exciting part is we have Donnie Yen. The studio wants to meet with Donnie Yen for a potential role that is currently unknown, but the big rumor surrounding that is that people think he could be the Mandarin. Like the legit Mandarin. There was a rumor recently, I think it was a few weeks back, that the Mandarin would be tied somehow to Shang-Chi, and that he could be playing that role. That's pretty fucking cool.
That would be definitely interesting. I know a lot of people had issues with how they did the Mandarin, how they did the 10 Rings setup, which really never really paid off whatsoever in the Iron Man movies. I thought it was an interesting take to do the whole switcheroo. If you haven't seen Iron Man 3, shame on you. But to have, Ben Kingsley just be an actor playing the Mandarin and somebody else is, the real bad guy. I wish they hadn't wasted the Mandarin character, but I'm not upset at that type of story. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they didn't really waste him though. They even hinted.
Right. They set it up. They set it up in that one shot that there is a real Mandarin.
Right.
But if you've never seen that one shot and you don't know much about the MCU, you would think that that was it. They did waste the Mandarin, but yeah, they definitely set something up with the one shot, and I'm glad that they're looking at revisiting that. Ludi Lin, like you said, he was great in Power Rangers. That's something I wish would get a sequel, but I don't
me too.
think will.
Too late, yeah.
it did such a good job at setting up the characters and setting up the world. And the worst part about the Power Rangers movie, if you guys haven't seen it, give it a shot. I think it's on several different streaming services. Just Google it and give it a shot. The aesthetics, that was the worst part about the movie. And that it was a little long on world building, but they really wanted to get that sequel. And
I like the world building. I liked a lot of it.
But I think it was a little bit too long for some people. Like, just like not enough Power Rangers is what I'm getting at. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but
I like the movie, and I really wish it'd get a sequel. So I'm excited to see him. I think he could be good in the MCU. Shang-Chi is not a character I'm very familiar with.
Me neither.
I'm not very familiar with a lot of things in Marvel Comics since about 2008, other than the last Secret War event and Doc Strange and Moon Knight afterwards. But in Feige we trust.
In Feige we trust. So I have another thing that I want to talk about. It looks like there is a rumor on Reddit for the potential slate of the MCU for the next through 2022. So this is just a rumor. We have no idea. This is unconfirmed. This is just me sharing because it's fun. So don't take this with a grain of salt. That being said, not exactly any surprises here in this list. So I'll say that like it literally could just be, you know, our Cam Clark, one of our writers, just wrote up this piece, and he put it kind of on the notes. He's like, is this a real leak or is it just a good guess? Because it literally is comprised of almost all the information we already know.
Yeah.
Okay, according to them, May 1st, 2020, we get Black Widow. November 6th, 2020, The Eternals. February 21st, 2021, Shang-Chi. May 7th, 2021, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. November 5th, 2021, Doctor Strange 2. February 18th, 2022, Black Panther 2. May 6th, 2022, Spider-Man Homecoming 3. July 9th, 2022, Captain Marvel 2. So that is that's 8 movies. You know, we know Black Widow's in production. That's not a surprise. The Eternal, we know that's the next stage. That's not a surprise. We just talked about the casting for Shang-Chi and in February 2021. So if they get everything in line and they start production early next year, not a surprise. Guardians of the Galaxy, we know is already going to hit production early next year. Not a surprise. Doctor Strange 2, Benedict Wong, and we recently covered this ourselves firsthand, said that they're expecting, I believe it was early next year, or at least sometime next year. So again, not a big surprise. The only somewhat surprises are February 18th, 2022, May 6th, 2022, and July 29th, 2022, which are Black Panther 2, Spider-Man Homecoming 3, and Captain Marvel 2. So those are the only kind of maybe Hail Marys. But it makes sense. You know, Black Panther 2, it mentions there are no rush to get that out. Captain Marvel 2, you know, once again, they're taking their time with it. The one that I think is interesting is Spider-Man Homecoming 3, because they put a little addendum to it saying there's a Sony mandate to have 3 years in between movies. Now, this is kind of a red flag for me because there is between Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home, it's 2 years between 2017 and this year. So is that bullshit, or is it maybe just a mandate they made between those two movies?
Maybe just between those two movies, because as far as I know, the original deal was just for the 5 films.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, 2 Avengers films, Civil War, and 2 Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've been asking and talking about for a while, well, what's going to happen? Are they going to renew this deal? Or are they going to make a new deal? Like, what does the future hold for MCU Spider-Man? There's all sorts of rumors connected to what Sony wants to do with the character's villains. You know, there was that rumor a couple weeks ago that Sony was trying to convince Marvel to put the Tom Hardy version of Venom into a 3rd MCU Spider-Man film. There's been the idea that Sony might just take Tom Holland and bring him over to their Venom universe or their Sony universe of Marvel characters, which is pretty much nothing but fucking Spider-Man villains. And there's all sorts of things, you know, going on, but I want Tom Holland to stay in the MCU, and I want it to be completely separated from the SUMC, and I mean, yeah, maybe they did get a new deal, and that's what this 3-year gap thing is. Maybe it's to give them time to get Morbius and Craven out without people being obsessed with the fact that Spider-Man's not in it.
Right.
What do you think about that idea?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, sure, that's a potential way they would go, but I'm just surprised that this person, whoever they are, had the gall to just sort of throw out Spider-Man Homecoming 3, and I'm not sure they understand the implications of what they just stated there, and that like they're implying that there's a new deal between Sony and Marvel. That's big news. I feel like that should have been the big thing to drop. So that's what makes me sort of doubt this.
That this could just be really good guesses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, how do you, if this turned out to be true, how do you feel about this slate? Because I'm kind of disappointed that other than the Eternals and Shang-Chi, everything is sequel. There's nothing else new, and it's there's nothing exciting. It's like it's predictable. Yeah,
outside of Shang-Chi, or I guess the Eternals as well. But yeah, it's a whole lot of it's literally 1, 2, 3. There's 5 sequels in a row.
Yep.
Nothing new. I think what I would do if I were them is I would replace Black Panther 2 with something newer, and then replace Black Panther 2 in 2023.
Yeah,
a year later,
something like that.
Just give us a little new something. What are the movies that are they thinking about that could be new IPs? What other things have they talked about?
Of course, you got the X-Men and Fantastic Four, but they said
they're not going to use those.
They're not even touching that until 2021. They said would be the earliest they would start looking at.
Yeah,
putting them in, not releasing, but start planning. I mean, there's a lot of characters.
But what new characters have there been rumors though? No, what have they? Have we heard any rumors about who they've been dealing with?
No, I can't say that I've heard anything personally or read anything on Reddit. Everybody seems to be pretty much focusing on what we know. I do expect Marvel. We all expect Marvel because Feige said so. A little bit after Far From Home, Spider-Man Far From Home hits to actually get a sense of what Phase 4 will look like. So, I mean, we're a few weeks away, maybe 6 to 8 weeks at most before Marvel makes an announcement, I think. What do you think? 6 to 8 weeks.
After Far From Home?
No, from here. I mean,
Far From Home
hits in what? 2 weeks?
2 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. Let's see here.
Yeah.
They said the summer. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
So like by 6 to 8 weeks, how many? That's 2 months. So yeah, by August, maybe even San Diego Comic-Con. Are they going to be at Comic-Con this year?
DC is not. I'm not sure about Marvel.
I'm not sure either. I should look into that. I'm going to be there. So maybe Comic-Con. That could be some Comic-Con worthy news. So literally go up there on stage, lay out their entire slate for the next 5 years or so, or 3 years.
When's D23 or 25 or D23?
whatever? Oh, calm down. You know what that is. Jesus Christ. D23, which we will be covering, by the way.
Isn't that what Feige announced?
Was that what he
announced? Phase 3 for, right? That's when we found out about Infinity War Part 1 and 2.
I don't know. I don't know if that was the event.
But it's August 23rd through the 25th.
So yeah, that's another possibility. Yep. Yeah. So July or August, I'd say that's the most likely way to do that.
Very cool. Well, we'll keep our eyes open, and you guys be sure to check LRMonline.com every single day, because as soon as we know, you will know. Make sure you guys are also checking out our YouTube page. We got a great set of celebrity interviews. There's LRMornings is available there now in case you can't do the podcast thing. Lots of great stuff on the YouTube channel. Definitely check out the Los Fanboys podcast channel wherever you get podcasts from. LRMornings, LRM Ranks It, Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, Los Fanboys itself. Check it out, and there's always new stuff coming to LRMonline.com. Jammer, thanks so much. It was a lot of fun to kind of just take it easy and bullshit about Zack Snyder for a little bit.
I had fun with that. I am such a defender of Zack Snyder. I'm always willing to talk about that guy.
Cool stuff. Where can people find you at online?
You can find me on Twitter at JamTheWriter and all my writings at LRMonline.com.
Outstanding. You guys can find me at that Kyle Malone on Twitter and all the other stuff that I do on LRMonline.com. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
Peace.